I think it's pronounced crew 90.
What's up, boys and girls? It's your boy Johnny, aka Crew 90, and for the last couple of weeks, I have been so tired, okay? And I couldn't figure out what was going on. I knew it wasn't an issue of like not getting enough sleep because I was getting like a solid 8 to sometimes even 9 hours of sleep a night. But yet, every day, I was just dragging. And honestly, I knew it wasn't a sleep issue because I would actually feel fine when I first woke up. I mean, yeah, I would have like that little bit of grogginess that you have when you first wake up, but after like being awake for about, 10, 15 minutes, the clouds would kind of clear and I'd be fine. And I'd get ready for work. I'd be with my, taking care of my cat, feeding my bird, whatever, doing your morning routine. I'd head out to work. It would be about an hour or so after I had been awake, maybe like an hour and a half, that I would start to, slow down a little bit. By midday, I would be dragging. And like even on my days off, I would sleep in a little bit, and yet still, by the time I'd been awake for a few hours, I would just start to slow down. And it was like I was getting hit with this midday slump. But the thing is, I would get home and it would happen even worse. And like by the end of the day, I could barely get into bed before I'd already be asleep. Sometimes I would fall asleep on the couch. I'd be on the phone with my girlfriend and I would just kind of pass out mid-conversation. And I would wake up to her being like, Johnny, hello? And I would be like, what? I'm here. What? She's like, you fell asleep. I'd be like, no, I didn't. I didn't fall asleep. Oh, yeah? What's the last thing I said? And I'd be like, I have no idea. Okay? This kept happening for like the last 2.5, maybe even 3 weeks. I was actually starting to get worried. Like, I even evaluated my diet. I started increasing my water intake. I notoriously never drank enough water. I started drinking more water. Nothing was working. I began to actually get concerned that I may be developing like narcolepsy or something, which I don't know anything about. I don't know if that's something you can just develop, but I was starting to think like this might be the case. I was like legitimately starting to get a little nervous to be driving in like too far of distances because what if I don't make it to where I'm going? Because I'm telling you, like I would get so drowsy and eventually I would just like I mean, I wouldn't quite like literally fall over, but I mean, it would get to that point. It was either I'm going to go to sleep or I'm going to go to sleep. So I am notorious also for not going to the doctor for anything. I will die before I go to the doctor. This was getting so worrisome. I almost made a doctor's appointment for this. So now you know how serious that this issue was. Okay? Now, here's the thing. I cut out most caffeine. I will say that occasionally I'll have a soda here or there. But I cut out most caffeine a good couple of weeks ago. We're talking like maybe 6, 7 weeks ago. I have a thermal coffee cup, and I do still use it, but I don't put coffee in it anymore. Because you see, what happened was, I was getting to a point where I was drinking 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day. I was also drinking at least 1 energy drink, usually 2, per day. Add in the sodas, my caffeine intake was at like 800 milligrams per day. And apparently you're only supposed to have like 300 as the max. And that's like, please don't. But you can. I was hitting 800 every day, easily. I would wake up in the morning, first thing I'd do is make a cup of coffee. While the Keurig was going, I would start getting dressed for work. At work, after I finished my first cup of coffee, I would have an energy drink, and usually on my way home from work, I might drink one while driving home. Whenever I got off work and I came home, I would make myself another cup of coffee. Usually one of the first things I did when I walked in the door. And this was just my normal routine. Now, I work 4 a.m. to noon, so I'm usually in bed by about 7 because I got to wake up for work around 3. So, I'd have that cup of coffee maybe around like 12:30 in the afternoon. And by the time that I got to bedtime, I would already be ready for bed. It wasn't like it would keep me up. I cut out the caffeine. I would still have a soda here or there, but very little. And usually I would try to order an iced tea if I was out, or if I was home, I would just have like, root beer or cream soda because there's no caffeine in that. I know what you're thinking. Oh, you cut out caffeine. Well, there's your problem, right? But like I said, I cut out the caffeine like, maybe almost an entire month before I started to get this newfound grogginess, the just all day being tired. So I knew it wasn't that. So I was back to being at a loss. Now, my biggest struggle with cutting out caffeine was the routine. Now, I always heard that when you're a smoker and you stop smoking, they recommend you eat carrot sticks, and it's because one of the biggest issues with quitting smoking isn't just quitting smoking in itself, but it's the routine of putting stuff in your mouth on a regular basis. So you eat carrot sticks because it somehow tricks your brain. You still have something in your mouth. And I guess, I don't know if it's the stick shape, because I don't know why you can't just eat anything. But point is, apparently carrot sticks work to help you quit smoking. I was struggling because I would feel so weird not having my cup in the car with me on my way to work. Or when I was at work, I would just constantly walk we had like this little employee like table where we keep all of our drinks, and I would walk to go grab my drink and there wouldn't be a drink there for me. And it was throwing me off. So I started trying to just put like water in the cup, but it was weird because it wasn't a hot drink, which I was used to. And like it was just totally different. So my mom suggests that I start drinking tea. You wake up every morning and instead of turning on your Keurig, you turn on your electric kettle. And then while that's brewing, you can get ready for work. And then when you get home from work, same thing, you turn on your electric kettle. That way you can have tea throughout the day and keep it in your cup, but it'll still be hot, it'll still be everything, but it doesn't have caffeine. You'll have caffeine-free tea. There's lots of tea out there that are just naturally, they don't have any caffeine in it. Now, why don't you just drink caffeine-free coffee? I know, but because that was too close. I knew if I drank the caffeine-free coffee, it would make it really hard for me to not just go back to coffee in general. I feel like it would be like trying to quit smoking cigarettes by going ahead and rolling your own cigarettes and just not putting tobacco in it. Instead putting like, I don't know what else you could put in there besides tobacco. But like, you're so close, you're going to end up just going back to the real thing. I felt like if I drank decaf coffee, I would just end up going back to real coffee. So this tea was like a great idea. But I didn't have any tea. And I told my mom on the phone, I don't have any tea. I was whiny. I'm whiny whenever I try to like break a habit. And Mom's like, well, go buy some tea. And I was like, I don't want to go to a grocery store. If you see my video, I have a boyfriend, you'll understand how much I despise grocery stores. So my mom's like, all right, why don't you swing by and I'll have some tea in a bag on the counter for you, and you can just have that. And I'll give you a good amount. It'll be enough to get you through the next couple weeks. And then at some point between now and then, when you go grocery shopping, just get some tea bags then. And I was like, okay, that works. Thank you so much. So about 2.5, almost 3 weeks ago, I started drinking tea. So earlier today, my mom texted me while I was at work, and she asked if I had a crock pot that she could borrow. Hers apparently is on the fritz, and she was afraid it might mess up her dinner if she went ahead and used it. So I was like, yeah, absolutely. I said, I'm at work right now, but go ahead and let yourself in through the garage. You know what the code for my garage door is, and then once you're inside, you know the code to turn off the alarm, and just grab what you need, and don't even worry about putting the alarm back on. I get out of work at noon, so, I'll be home by like 12:30. And she was like, oh, no, I won't be able to go over there until around noon anyways. So I was like, all right, well, how about then we just plan on you being there at 12:30, right when I get home. And if, you get there a few minutes before me or whatever, if I, run a little late, then you can just let yourself in, but I'll be there, right behind you. She's like, perfect. It timed out amazingly. I pulled into the driveway as she was shutting her car off. So I walk into the kitchen and, I'm going to grab her the crock pot. And while I'm in there, I turn on the kettle and I'm like, hey, yo, Ma, you want some tea? And she's like, hey, yeah, that sounds good. Go ahead and make me a cup. So I'm like, cool. So I put out 2 teacups, which are actually coffee cups because I don't have teacups. And, I'm digging around, getting the crock pot out. The kettle starts making its little scream noise that it makes. Kettles are so needy. Like, they literally scream for you when they need your attention. So I'm letting it go. And she comes in the kitchen right about that point. And I tell her to grab the tea bags and, bring them over here because they're right on the other side of the kitchen. And I'm still over here digging around trying to find this crock pot. And I hear her. She's like, where's the tea? And I'm like, it's right there. It's in the cup. And she's like, this isn't the tea you're making right now, right? And I'm like, yeah, that's the tea. I only have the tea you gave me. She's like, this isn't the tea I gave you. And I was like, yes, it is. This is the tea that you gave me. And so I finally stand up and I'm looking at her and she's looking at me with like this look like. I'm like, what? And she goes, this is the tea that I gave you? And I was like, yeah, Mom, I walked in your house and you had like a Ziploc bag just filled with those tea bags in it. She's like, I don't think that I meant to give you this. And I'm like, why? It's tea. Tea is tea, right? Like, it's fine. I said, I will say, you told me the tea you were giving me was going to be like a vanilla flavor, and this is a little bit more herbal, but it's good. And she's like, yeah. Hey, have you been feeling any, marked drowsiness lately? Any increase in your tiredness? And I was like, yes. She's quiet for a second, and she goes, and you're sure this is the tea that I gave you? And I'm like, what did you do? This is the tea. Okay? Nighttime. I have never actually bothered to read the package. I just have grabbed the bag, well, the package, ripped it open, taken the bag out, and brewed it. I have never actually looked at it. This tea is literally designed to make you sleepy. Apparently, while it doesn't have any actual drugs in it, this tea has roughly the same effect as taking a melatonin. No, it's not going to knock you out, but it's going to make you damn tired. And I've been having this every morning on my way to work, and then every day when I get home from work. If I have a day off of work, I still have it one of the first things in the morning, and I still make myself another cup some point around mid-afternoon, mimicking what I used to do with my coffee. And that's why every day, I'm fine when I wake up, but by the time I get to work, I'm starting to feel a little, and about an hour into my shift, I'm like dragging. That's why once I get home and I drink another cup, I barely make it until bedtime. My mother drugged me. So, thankfully, I don't have to go to the doctor anymore, but who knows how long I'm still going to feel the effects of this. There's like no narcotics in it, but I've been drinking 2 cups of this a day for the last like 2.5 to 3 weeks. So, yeah, hopefully, it's just, you only feel tired when you actually take it. But, I went out, I bought myself some caffeinated tea. I know, you might as well just drink coffee then, right? But no, because still, the caffeine in a tea bag is a fraction of the caffeine in a cup of coffee. I looked it up. But now I have some actual Earl Grey English breakfast. No more sleepy time. At least now I know I don't have narcolepsy. I cannot believe it, guys. I have been struggling with this for almost 3 weeks. And I've been drinking Betty Bye, Sleepy Time, Go to Sleep, Bill Cosby tea. Be careful what you guys consume. When I was younger, my mom always told me, never drink a drink that somebody else pours you. Technically, I poured myself this drink. But still, I think the principle remains. And I cannot believe that the woman who taught me that proceeded to then drug me like 15 years later. It'd always be the ones you least expect. As always, it's your boy Johnny, aka Crew 90, and I'll catch you next time.